Football is back, and so is winning season at MyBookie. NFL, college football, and a brand new cash-out system give you options on how to bet and to win all season long. First two legs of your parlay hit? Great. Get out while the getting is good. Cash out and use the funds on another bet, or let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Use early cash outs as a tool to stay in control of the action at MyBookie. To get started, go to mybookie.ag now and register for an account for free. When you're ready, make your first deposit. Just use promo code ZABE, Charlie, Zulu, Alpha, Bravo, Echo, and grab a welcome bonus on the house. That's promo code ZABE to claim your deposit bonus. And for a limited time, a free chip to use in the MyBookie casino. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Today's Power Lunch is brought to you by The Palm in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. Sure, The Palm is great for a fancy night out, but it's also the perfect midweek spot for a lunch with a client, or lunch to catch up with a friend, or maybe even to do an interesting podcast like this. Power Lunch menu selections at The Palm start at $26 for an appetizer, meal, and dessert. Book your reservation today directly at thepalm.com, open table, or by calling them at 703-917-0200.
I can make most anything on the menu except...
Whatever you got is fine.
I'm gonna say some bad words. You're just gonna have to deal with it.
PB&J with the crusts cut off. Well, Brian, this is a very nutritious lunch.
Hey, you got enough money to pay for all this? You know, money, cash, dollars, dinero.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.
Thank you?
You're welcome. What can I say except you're welcome?
Buck, how you doing over there?
I'm doing good.
You all right?
I'm good, thank you.
Buck got here well ahead of time today. Let it be known, Knocke.
So
that he was here 20 minutes early and ordered clams on the half shell. And then gave me shit saying, wow, can't believe you're early, Zabe. As if I was going to show up like the star of the show with my roadies, having set all this stuff up.
I figured you'd walk in at 1 p.m. prompt.
Why?
And that would be it. I was here early because I was down at Schmidt's Exxon to my buddy Al Treadway, and I had to transfer some Caps tickets to him. So
Schmidt's at Exxon?
Schmidt's right there on Route 7.
Oh, okay.
The Exxon station.
You're full of Schmidt's. I think my dad had a bad experience there once upon a time.
No, get out of here. The place is great.
Once upon a time. Probably under new management. Probably not under the Schmitz family, as it were.
Same Schmitz that make the beer?
God, who gives a Schmitz?
Oh, my God. Anyway, I'm so glad I got you two fools today because I got more material than I can deal with. And I've got two wheelhouse topics. Costas for you, Buck.
Yep.
And coaching shenanigans for you, Knocke.
I'm on it.
Okay,
Let's go.
Good. You're on both of those.
Yeah.
First, we have to order here. We have not yet ordered our lovely lunch here at the good old Palm in Tyson's Corner. I didn't know even Buckhantz was doing altcasts for the Wizards. He's been doing them for how long now?
It started last year, right?
Started last year. I don't know where Zabin was.
Why didn't you tell me?
I have to report everything I do to you now?
He assumed I'd be watching the Wizards. I said I wouldn't watch that team if they were in my driveway.
But now that I know that Buck is doing the altcasts, I'm all over that. I'm not watching. I mean, I have no interest in the game. So is this like a Manning?
It's just like a Manningcast.
And it's on Monumental.
Absolutely.
Which is a Ted property.
Correct.
Which means you and Ted have buried the hatchet.
Me and Ted and Zach.
Wow. I want to hear the backstory on this. How'd this happen? How much ass kissing did you have to do?
Well, I didn't have to do any ass kissing.
How much ass did they kiss of yours?
That's the
I
question.
hope there was some knob swallowing going on here.
But why aren't you the main voice again?
Well,
that's a whole different story.
Can't
right?
answer that question.
Can't get into that. Okay.
But when they explored doing this altcast, which they do for the Capitals as well, and you know why they do it. I think I explained that earlier. When Ted bought NBC Sports Washington, which is now Monumental Sports Network.
Yes.
There's two channels, just like there's two Masson channels and there's
Right.
2 or 3 or 4 ESPN channels.
Yes.
There's two Monumental Sports
Hold
channels.
that thought.
Yep.
Steak for me with a small splash of fries, medium rare. Thank you very much. Lobster bisque as an appetizer. Buck has already eaten half his quota. He'll have a grilled cheese. That's all that's left under the cap after the mussels. What would you like, Buck?
I'd like a small Caesar salad, and I'm going to do this filet medium.
Man.
Yeah, no parsley.
Yes, no parsley. Because that's really hard to remove.
And then
even I can pick parsley off a steak, bro.
Maybe some cream spinach.
Okay.
And Heinz 57 if you have that back there.
Wow. Wow. You're gonna besmirch their steak with ketchup.
It's Heinz 57. And I'm a professional when it comes to these restaurants, as you know. Come on.
I know. That's many years of per diems. Many years of
restaurants in 29 other cities. Come on now.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So this is an alt channel on Monumental.
Well,
I'm glad you're back in the fold.
Yep.
Glad that you and Ted and Zach have buried the hatchet and that you're working again.
Yeah.
Many people missed you on the broadcast.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a different way to watch. If you've seen the Manningcast, you know. But it's me and J.P. Finley, and then like last year it was I did a game with Ronnie Thompson, Gravis Vasquez. They bring in some other person or player.
Patsos? Jimmy?
Yeah. He sat in with us once.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have guests just like the Manningcast do, and it's actually interesting. We had Harvey Grant, from his boat dock in Annapolis. We had Gus Johnson.
Nice.
Yes, and it's a different way to watch. So if you prefer or you choose to watch the game in an alternative way, then that's what it is.
Is it only online, or is it also on?
No, it's on their channel.
They
on
have two,
cable
are there
systems.
two Monumental channels, right?
Right. So
Okay.
as I mentioned
But they're
before,
not. But is Monumental on YouTube TV? I don't think so.
I would think it's on everywhere. It's just
Okay, well, I have to
it's
check
just
that.
like the cable that they had when it was NBC Sports Washington. It's the same thing.
Okay, I'll check that out. I don't really watch a lot of Wizards basketball. They're god awful.
Well,
know
listen,
that,
they're
right,
they're rebuilding.
Terrible.
Come on now, they're
I
rebuilding.
was surprised to see there is a team with a lower over-under than the Wizards.
Which is
the Nets.
the Nets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
That's
serious?
stunning to me.
Yeah.
Because I honestly believe the Wizards are headed towards an all-timer.
Oh, yeah.
with
They,
what they
they
got.
only won 15 games last year, but I've been watching some of the preseason, and there's some good young players that they drafted, and that doesn't make up a successful team. That's in the future.
Who's this team built around? Give me two players.
Well, Kyle Kuzma is
Yeah, I've
probably
heard
to
that.
me.
Jordan
There's
Poole?
the Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. They're
Jordan
best
Poole's a
players.
bag of shit. Everyone knows that. Kuzma is
I
probably
think
overrated.
No, he's good.
Okay.
He's good.
But Kuz is voted most likely to not be here at the deadline.
Right, that's very.
So he's going to be a
possible.
valuable trade piece.
Absolutely.
And then what? They start over again?
Well, they've
Are
already.
they gunning for 3 straight lottery wins to build this team?
I don't think they're gunning for that. I don't put that on any
killing
team,
them
but
right
it
now, aren't
happens. The kid Koulibaly's going to be good. It's his second year.
Okay.
The kids they drafted, that kid Sarr.
I like him.
Bub
How many
Carrington.
wins can we put him down for?
I don't know. I would have said they'd have won more than 15 games last year. The fact is,
How about
last year,
17 games? Let's say 17.
sign up for that right
Sign
now.
up for that right now.
Yeah.
the fact is, last year, which is unfortunate, they competed in a lot of games. They just didn't win them. And I know, that's
How many points does it compete?
that doesn't give
Is
you
that
many.
half a point? Is that half a
I
win?
mean, that also, I don't want to digress into the discussion of the football game yesterday,
Exactly.
but there's no moral either. It just makes you a good trier.
Right, which
know,
is
I
fine.
mean-
But, we're talking about this team like they're so bad. The football team was so bad for many, many, many years. And
But
we,
it's football.
Yeah, but it's football.
But it's football.
We
That's
didn't
the
diss
thing.
them like that.
As
you
I
know.
tried to say to Buck before you showed up, Knocke, they were interesting bad. They were dysfunctional bad. They were, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening bad.
Yeah.
Now they've got their shit together, which is great, by the way.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I mean, and it's because of this.
But what an
Not just
Anyway.
the quarterback, but he's good.
All right, seriously, Buck, I'm very happy for you. I'm
Thank
glad that you and Ted and Zach let bygones be bygones. And you're a proud shill for the team again, which is like nature healing itself. That you're soft pedaling.
It's full circle.
Right, full circle.
Yeah.
How bad they are, and yet you hear them go, well, it's
Yeah.
not that they're gunning for the lottery.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're
I
bad.
wouldn't. No, they're rebuilding. That's well done. And you're doing just enough. You're kind of
And
semi-retired.
I'll do some JMU basketball games as well.
Right, but no more football. You did some football
I did
games
some football
briefly.
for them, and now
What happened?
Well, first of all, I was doing the color commentary, which is
Oh, that's weird, yeah.
it's a little weird. And for football, they really need to have an ex-player, which they do now.
Okay. Well, that's good.
And so they do that. And obviously their football team's good. And the basketball team went 32-4 last year. I mean, you know that. They beat Wisconsin in the first round.
They did.
Beat the hell out of them.
Did not sit well in Wisconsin, that's for sure.
And then, sadly, in the second round, they had to play Duke, which is a little different level. But they still, this is something else to discuss, and we won't get deep into it. But when you're a good mid-major team like Madison is, or George Mason, or whatever, but JMU with a football and basketball team, you're screwed in this NIL portal thing. You are.
Well,
done.
you're a feeder team.
You're a
big
feeder
boys.
team.
You're
That's
a farm
it.
team.
Yeah.
Help develop these guys and then send them on their way.
That's what we do.
And that's not only with the players; it's with the coaches as well.
Well, it's because first and foremost with our coach. We lost our football coach
to
in Indiana.
And he's kicking ass.
He's undefeated.
Lost 20 players to Indiana,
right?
Right.
13, and they all start.
So
what
are you going to do about it?
Well, our football team, which is at 5-1, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They have 63 players on the roster. 58 of them are new.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
I know.
Okay. The coach went to Indiana for $28 million. He was being paid about $700,000.
Give people his name who are casuals.
The basketball coach, the team went 32-4 last year, NCAA tournament. He left and he went to Vanderbilt for $20 million. And he took some players with him. The basketball team has 11 new players, all transfers. So that's what's going to happen to these mid-majors. And
so what
they don't have the money to pay these kids.
Right. So what are you going to do about it?
You get transfers that want to come and play, and hopefully maybe are there for more than a year, and then they move on.
All right, Knocke, speaking for the big boys, Maryland being one of the haves, not the have-nots, what are guys like Buck at JMU going to do about the new world order?
There's a little nuance to what Buck was talking about here, too. So the teams that have football, universities that have football, are really screwed because football's such a
money pit.
Money pit.
Yeah.
There are a handful of schools, like Creighton, Gonzaga, VCU. These are all basketball-only schools. Those are going to be the best jobs in the country. Because you don't have to split all that.
The best
NIL
basketball
money,
jobs.
Best basketball jobs in the country because you don't have to deal with that. And the class action suit where the NCAA says we're going to give everybody $20 or $22 million to play with. If you've got a football team, that money disappears pretty quickly.
It's gone.
If you don't have that to worry about, now you just have to figure out the whole Title IX aspect of this, how you're going to share it, if you're going to share it. There's really been no direction on whether you have to have some sort of a
equal split.
Equal split. So
the first taunt that I heard being thrown at Ohio State fans was their budget, $25 million. They're like, you lost to Oregon with a $25 million payroll this year because they built a fucking super team.
Yeah.
And look, they went to Eugene and they lost by a point because their quarterback couldn't count to 6.
Yeah.
Counted to 7, game was over, right? I mean, that's not a bad loss, but it won't stop the haters from going, you screwed up. And it's $25 million now. It'll be $50 million in 3 years.
Absolutely.
Cost of a Division I powered team, $50 million.
No, there's no cap. There won't be because the NCAA has been so neutered. And there's nobody else to enforce something like that.
There has to be some rules with this. Like, for instance, the coach of JMU football, he left before the bowl game.
I know.
He was gone.
Kurt Signetti,
and that was not cool. He's a bit of a me first guy.
Do you spit his name out even after he gave you guys such wonderful years?
Things
at
in
JMU.
People in Harrisonburg don't have real nice things to say about him.
Wow.
Yeah, he dissed our team. I mean, he left. He was gone. He didn't even go to the bowl game, and unfortunately, they got beat pretty bad by Air Force. But there's got to be some rules. There are rules in the NFL. You sign a contract. You can't just walk away. There's got to be some rules in college.
We're headed toward this day.
Got to be.
Headed toward this day in which eventually you're going to have some sort of cohesive structure to it all.
You can't just have these kids show up one year, leave the next, coach show up.
UNLV quarterback decides to pack it in after 3 games because he's
like, we're hot. I want more money.
Yeah, exactly.
Not how it works, pal.
Yeah, that is how it works.
Yeah.
We talked about this the other day. The kids are not like, I love my coach, I love my school, I can't wait to play there. I love my coach because he got me paid. That's why they love their coach.
Yeah. On the college football front, don't look now, but Army and Navy are both undefeated and in the top 25 for the first time in 60
I love it.
years.
Love it. Absolutely.
My first thought was, holy shit, what if they get to the big game and they're both undefeated? And the answer is, it can't happen. You know why? They're in the same conference.
That's right.
They're in the AAC now.
The American.
So it's quite possible that they will meet twice. First in the AAC title game if they keep winning, and then again for the traditional Army-Navy game.
Yep.
How bullshit would that be?
Yeah.
And this is what the New World Order has brought us. We could have Michigan, Ohio State twice back to back. Won't be this year, not the way Michigan's going, but still.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I love the fact that Army and Navy, and that one of the lessons there is that they've got continuity. They've got programs, unlike the rest of Division I, where you get this whole huge influx of guys.
Yeah.
Army and Navy, those kids have played together for multiple years,
Right.
And there's value in that, obviously.
They scored 44. Army did, throwing it 7 times.
Right.
It's
44
amazing.
points, throwing it
It was
7
like
times.
triple option
Now,
types.
it's
You
against,
can't stop it.
Yeah.
It's against UAB. Now, I made sure to text my buddy Roy Wood, the comedian who's on Comedy Central, and because he went to UAB. And I go, man, how'd you let Army score 44 on you? He's like, shit, they run the same 5 plays like Tecmo Bowl. You can't stop it.
You can't stop it.
He sounds like
It's
Tecmo Bowl.
precision.
Yeah.
It is
No,
absolutely.
JMU played Air Force last year in the Armed Forces Bowl, in the bowl game.
Yeah.
Madison went into the game. You'll love this. They were ranked number 1 in the country in run defense. They were giving up 57 yards a game on the ground.
And what Air Force do?
On the first play from scrimmage, they ran for 60 yards. First play from scrimmage, they finished with 303 yards rushing. They threw the ball twice, once for a touchdown. So that, and people are like, well, what happened? Well, what happened is Army, Navy, and Air Force, they run the triple option. JMU had 2 weeks to prepare for that. They couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
You know it's coming. You can't stop
Just
it.
like Nick Saban said, they went through us like shit through a tin horn,
You
and
can't-
we couldn't stop it.
Nobody knows how to stop that because you don't practice against it because nobody else runs it.
Yeah,
So-
it's wild stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Saturday night was great in college football. 3 games were down to the wire. SEC games, big games. Diet Coke, yep, Diet Coke for you. And a little smattering of bread. The lovely bread basket would be great.
The bread basket.
The old bread basket. So while you guys dig into that, I'm going to set this up for you, Knocke.
Yeah.
Dante Divincenzo last
here we
night
go.
in preseason NBA. Even Buck doesn't watch preseason NBA, and he's a total shill for
I
the
watched
Wizards.
the Wizards preseason.
Right, exactly. I don't. Right now, I have no room on my shelf as a sports radio host for any NBA product. We don't stock that product until at least Christmas time. It's all football now. It's all football. It's World Series. It's baseball. So whatever. NBA, go do what you do. I'm not taking any orders now. Somehow I'm like, I'll order some of this. Divincenzo at the free throw line last night in a preseason game starts chirping about being traded to the Timberwolves, to Thibodeau, saying, he said, quote, suck shit. Oh, and then he got into it with Rick Brunson after the game. Brunson's dad. Mind you, these 2 guys played in college together, and they were this great story last spring as they made their run in the NBA playoffs. Divincenzo is still bitter about being traded for Karl Anthony Towns. He said, this is what happens when they let you run the show, Tibbs, as he's bouncing the ball, getting ready to shoot a free throw. Then he gets into it with Brunson's dad. It's a whole kerfuffle, and it was a real window into the whole, man, players do not like being traded. It's really fucks their head up. What? You traded me for him?
Yeah, there's a lot to bite off on that. Okay,
yeah.
So maybe it's being traded to Minnesota is a part of that.
What's wrong with that? Minnesota's in the finals, the Western Finals last
Minnesota
year.
in the winter is not New York City. It's not like living in New York City.
Coldest city I've ever been in.
Okay, but I'm sorry. When did
I get it.
When did Dante Divincenzo, a 3-guy energy guy, volume shooter guy, become a fucking star in this league?
Well,
You've been on 4 teams now. Milwaukee, Sacramento, the Knicks, and now Minnesota. Just be thankful you're on a team that's not terrible. You get to play with Anthony Edwards.
I think a lot of, and Buck, you may have gotten wind of this too. I think a lot of guys too chafe under Tibbs.
Oh, I hear he wears people out.
Yeah, wears them out, and obviously he's making those decisions. And I think that maybe there was maybe there was a lot of that. Just,
But it's a preseason game, and you got traded for Karl Anthony Towns. That on paper is a win for the Knicks. Although I read about the second apron salary cap.
It's exactly what it was. It was all financial. Also, the Cat has a reputation in the league of being not the toughest guy in the world.
Soft as baby poop.
That's kind of what I think Dante's talking about. Dante's not soft.
Yeah, I would not call Cat soft to his face, but in the general perception of things, he's not like, oh man, he's locked in tonight.
They were they were having serious salary cap issues if they keep Cat.
Well, that's the thing. So I read, Buck, you can go ahead and eat while I'm telling you the story. I read up, and you too, Knocke, this will take a second, so take a bite or two or a little bit of soup. I'm going to hold off on mine for 2 seconds. So when they traded Karl Anthony Towns, even me, the NBA casual, was like, whoa, that dude's a fucking star. Why are they were close, so close last year. What are they doing? And I started reading, and it was an ESPN.com article, probably by Zach Lowe, who's no longer employed, because they got to hire more guys to yell on ESPN. God forbid,
he's
right?
Good. Zach Lowe, very technical. I like in-depth stuff.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm reading the story, and my head immediately starts to throb. You know why? Because I don't understand any of this shit. They're like, well, the problem is it has to do with another free agent that New Orleans signed, and they're stuck with him now. They can't move him, and they thought he'd be an easy piece to flip to stay out of the second apron of the luxury tax, and that then restricts your ability to sign your own guys to the veteran league minimums, and they'll be stuck with it, and then there'll be this, there'll be that. And I was like, oh, I'm rubbing my temples going, what the fuck does this do with who's good on the basketball court or not? The trade had nothing to do with who was the better player, what piece fits better. It was all a financial thing. It was like heaven for an accountant, a nerd with a spreadsheet. For the sports fan, I didn't understand what the trade was all about. That's the league right now.
It's also far more germane to markets like Minneapolis. The Golden State Warriors don't give a shit about.
No, they're way over it. Yes, they're like the Yankees or the Dodgers in baseball.
They embrace it.
The Knicks too. Knicks and the Lakers.
Yeah.
Okay,
but it's far more germane to a small market.
So here was Dante
Divincenzo back at Madison Square Garden. It's great to see him back here, even with different colors on.
Yeah, the memories have to abound. He had a career year for the Knicks last year. So did that man.
And now they traded his ass. And Julius Randle
reconnecting with Deuce McBride. And according to reports, and Chris Finch has said himself, they want Randle to play at one point this road trip. And the last game of the road trip is on Wednesday.
There it is right here.
So we will probably see him soon. So Jacob Toppin was unavailable today, tweaked his ankle. There's the Villanova reunion.
He was like, I was talking to Tibbs, not to you.
So the starters played over 25, 26 minutes tonight. Brunson, usual play, high scoring. Bridges providing offense. OG, very offensive minded tonight.
Yeah, Bridges led the way with 30 minutes, scored 15 points. He was 1 of 4 from 3.
Okay, what do you make of that?
So, one of my real pet peeves is fathers who insert themselves in situations like this. John Morant's dad does it all the time. And Rick Brunson has no business being down there. I mean, you saw the relationship.
I thought he was a coach.
Well, I mean,
is Rick Brunson a coach?
I don't think he's on that staff.
Maybe he's not. Okay,
no,
but
I don't think he's down.
He was all the way down there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but you saw Jalen Brunson and Dante seem to be getting along just fine there. So leave it to the players to have their own conversation.
He is a coach. Coach.
Yeah, he's an
assistant coach for the Knicks.
Okay, well, he's sticking up for his boy Tibbs then.
Right. See, that's the thing. DiVincenzo and his son, Jalen, were still fine. They were like bonding. Mm-hmm. Miss you, bro. Sorry you got traded, whatever.
Yeah, we'll always be.
Right.
Yeah.
But DiVincenzo was running his mouth on Tibbs at the free throw line, and that's where his dad said, all right, I'd like to be with my son on this and be like, okay, cool, but that's my boss right there. That he's shit-talking, so maybe I need to get involved here and say, settle down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah, good shit.
Good shit. I'm going to now ignore the NBA till Christmas Day when they play 5 games in a row.
But I don't think people appreciate the fact that, like all the stuff that happened with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
that brings eyes to the sport. You know, the acrimony, the rivalries that you have, the And some of it may be racial in nature, like theirs is WNBA, but people need adversarial, or sports need adversarial.
You need white hats and black hats.
Absolutely,
white hats and black hats.
Yeah,
that's
and leagues,
how the world works.
Leagues thrive when you have that kind of acrimony.
We used to call it competitiveness, and Minnesota's run by all the Washington guys. Connolly and Eddie Tapscott is a coach, is a scout.
Now, does A-Rod own that club now?
He's in on it.
Yeah, I don't think he's a majority owner.
In on it, but they're trying to, I think, get him out of it. I'll have to ask my boy Charch about that since he is Mr. Minnesota. But speaking of coaches, did you see Kirby Smart and what happened on the sideline this weekend in the Georgia-Mississippi State game?
No, I heard he shoved the Mississippi State quarterback. That's all I heard. I didn't see it.
Yeah, you got to see it. I mean, to me, this is really bad. And he claims he does not remember it. There it is. It's bad when it's the first phrase that comes up on Google search, right?
No kidding.
Kirby, and it's like Smart shoves player. So here is the Kirby Smart apology on this, even though I don't think it's much of an apology. He says, after you guys said that in the press conference, I went back and watched it. I didn't realize that I ran into him talking about the other team's quarterback, Michael Van Buren. But I reached out to Mississippi State head coach Jeff Lebby that night and said the kid was great and that I talked to him and told him there were no intentions of ill will towards him. Now you can see what it looks like. That's bullshit. That's a suspension, if you ask me. You could say it wasn't that hard of a push, but it's the
that ain't no Woody Hayes thing.
No, but it's the sportsmanship part of it. There has to be better sportsmanship. You can't just shove players on other teams.
I don't know what he's doing there. That makes no sense. I mean,
he's being a tough guy. Kirby Smart. Yeah, get out of my way.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that something's going to happen to address that, but it's Georgia football. Do they ever actually?
Nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. All right, let's take a break here. How is your salad?
Delicious.
Nice.
You can't go
Buck,
wrong.
How's the soup?
But you know what?
Lobster biscuit.
Cannot go wrong with the bisque.
Okay, very good.
This guy.
Yes. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the blowback to one Robert Costas, American broadcasting icon, and the notion of staying too long. Because Costas and Al Michaels are currently in the crosshairs. There are some defenders out there, but I'm not one of them. We'll talk about that next. Having a power lunch. Chris Knocke, longtime color voice. Maryland basketball season begins when?
November 4.
November 4. Don't wait for Don't wait for Midnight Madness. It's not a thing anymore. Not the way it once was.
Right.
Used to be October 15th, midnight. First layup line and dunks. All the fans would come out there.
Yeah. That was Lefty, right? Started all. Now you start practice 45 days. You got to do some math. 45 days prior to your first game.
Okay. And Buckhantz, who is now doing alt casts on Monumental for the Washington Wizards, who are not rebuilding. Or no, they're not bad. They're rebuilding. There you go. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Okay, good. We're back after this. Hiring with Indeed, your search is over. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Indeed's matching engine leverages over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, constantly learning from your preferences. The more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Zabe. Just go to Indeed.com/Zabe right now and support our show, saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Zabe. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Football is back, And so is winning season at MyBookie. NFL, college football, and a brand new cash-out system give you options on how to bet and to win all season long. First 2 legs of your parlay hit? Great. Get out while the getting is good. Cash out and use the funds on another bet, or let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Use early cash outs as a tool to stay in control of the action at MyBookie. To get started, go to mybookie.ag now and register for an account for free. When you're ready, make your first deposit. Just use promo code ZABE, Charlie, Zulu, Alpha, Bravo, Echo, and grab a welcome bonus on the house. That's promo code ZABE to claim your deposit bonus. And for a limited time, a free chip to use in the MyBookie casino. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. All right, we are back. Buck is going to finish eating before he gets his cake hole in front of the mic, since I have to field the complaints via email about it. By the way, we're at Tyson's Corner, the Palm. Beautiful lunch, power lunch. Way more affordable than you would think. Have you seen the prices at Chipotle?
Well, the lunch thing is incredible.
It's a great lunch menu. And that's what we just had here.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
What kind of emails do you get?
I'll send them your way.
Please,
disgusting. I turned off the podcast. Eating, I don't need to listen to that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can understand that.
But I got to eat, is what you say.
But I got the steak in front of me.
How about this is why I've got the mics you can push away from your mouth while you grab a bite while
That's
I
a good
talk
idea.
to Knocke.
It's the Johnny Carson mic.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. So, Knocke, announcers who stay too long. You work with
I'm
one of the...
probably one of them.
No, you're not. How old are you, by the way, now?
I am 66, fun-loving.
Love it.
Yeah.
And what year is this doing Maryland basketball?
This is my 26th coming up.
Nice.
Wow, that's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
But
That's
your
great, man.
play-by-play partner, Johnny Holiday, excuse my voice, he's been doing it for how many years now?
For 46.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He'd been doing it for 20 before I joined the
And
broadcast team.
he is going to turn tomorrow 88.
Yes.
Incredible.
Amazing.
But still sharp and can do the job.
Well, I think he's especially good doing basketball games because it happens right in front of us.
Proximity, yeah.
I don't think
You're still courtside, right?
Yeah, we are still, but yeah, I know why you asked it because they keep
all these teams, Buck, want to push the announcers up to the mezzanine.
Well, not so much.
The Wizards
not so
did
much
that
college.
to you
no
at the end of it.
in college.
They're doing it now.
College?
College?
Yes, of course.
We do some games like at Minnesota. We're in Dubuque, Iowa.
No.
You know, I mean, it's so amazing.
told
how
In
far
the
away
chase for nil money, those seats that you guys have enjoyed for years
They're gone.
are going to be sold.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did that with us starting 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And moved us into the mezzanine area. And I tell people, you know, I had a better view of Venus than the court. And it's sad because it completely takes the announcer out of the game. In other words, when you sit on the floor, you are privy to hearing coaches. You can call officials over to ask them questions, which they come right over and talk to you.
Right.
Because we have a relationship with all of them.
You're fully immersed in what's going on.
Right. The only downside to sitting on the court, at least for the NBA, for the Wizards and all the other NBA teams, is when the coach stands up, he's often right in front of you. Yeah. I actually reached out one time and grabbed Randy Whitman by the hips and moved him aside. I
bet he loved that.
He turned around and looked at me, and
as long as it only happened one time.
Yeah. If looks could kill, I wouldn't be here. But
you know, the video that you showed earlier of
Kirby Smart?
No, Dante up in New York. So the voiceover, were you listening to? It was Clyde Frazier, right?
It was Bill Pito who was doing the play-by-play.
Yeah. So, but those guys appeared to be oblivious to the Dante shenanigans down there.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, I was wondering,
why
they must not be on the court. I wonder if they were.
They're the Garden. They're still on the floor.
Okay.
Well, then they were on the other side of the court.
Yeah, because they weren't.
They didn't know what was going on.
No, didn't address it.
Okay.
No, they are on the other side of the court because the locker rooms where you come out for the Knicks and those games are on the opposite side from where the broadcasters sit. And the away broadcasters sit right next to Clyde and Mike Breen. So we all sit there right together. We're only separated by a stat guy. And so they are on the opposite side, so they might not have known that.
Yeah.
But so anyway, staying too long.
Yeah.
Costas should not be calling baseball at this point. And it's not just that he's making huge mistakes, calling out space hits.
Yeah, I saw the one. I saw that one play
as fly balls.
Has he done that?
Yes.
And
not only is he making mistakes, his style is so out of phase with the modern state of broadcasting. It just is. Maybe it worked back when, because like Michael Kay was saying, Costas hasn't changed. It's the world has changed.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Nobody wants that shit while watching a baseball game now in the pitch clock era. They don't want some soliloquy about Rogers Hornsby in the middle of a crucial at-bat. But that's what we're getting. Even Mad Dog Russo said, I thought a George Brett documentary broke out in the middle of a Royals game because they interviewed George Brett for about 2.5 innings. It was interminable.
It also, where he really struggles too is because the other networks that do these games, like he does it. He's on MLB, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. He's on TNT or TBS.
Well, the other guys doing play-by-play are stellar in these other series.
Oh, Brian Anderson's really good.
He's my gold standard right there. I think he's so good. And I think the theory of relativity hurts Costas too. He's not nearly as good as as that guy.
So you couple that with Al Michaels, who is also approaching 90, and stylistically, Al Michaels is just not in vogue. I want Buck announcers that give me punch and verve and energy and the kind of accoutrement to the product that comes through my television and my TV speakers. And those guys are dinosaurs. Sorry to say it.
A lot of it has to do with age. When you start to age, you can hear it in an announcer's voice. And I'll give you a couple examples. Pat Summerall, Jack Buck. As they were starting to get to their years where you're saying, hey, maybe it's time, you could hear it in their voice. It's just inevitable. It happens with aging. Now, it hasn't happened with Johnny, which is interesting because his voice is still strong.
But it's your voice and your brain.
It's everything.
You have to combine I'm seeing this, I know how to paint a picture.
I know how to punch it, yeah, absolutely. And that happens as you get a little bit older. And if you listen closely to Al, who I think is maybe the best announcer ever in play-by-play, whether it happens to be football or hockey or whatever he does, but definitely football, you can start to hear some of the, I hate to say slurring of the words, but you can hear the fact that he's not punching it like he used to.
Right.
And that comes really with just aging and just being older. And,
But if you have the chair, it's going to be hard to leave it.
Oh, are you kidding
voluntarily.
me? Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of the last big-time announcer that voluntarily said, you know what, I've had enough. See you later.
Didn't Vin Scully start to do just games west of Denver?
Yes.
And then he feathered his schedule and then eventually just stopped.
Right.
And there are other local type announcers who are fairly legendary in their own market, like Neil Funk, who was in Chicago and did the Bulls forever. Mike Gorman in Boston was the Celtics play-by-play guy for 40-some years.
It's that dynamic that got me out of the play-by-play biz. Because, I grew up wanting to be you.
Well,
and I was doing UC Santa Barbara in good old Logan, Utah, home of Utah State, where your daughter was the basketball ops manager, right?
Yeah.
And now she's at VCU, is that right?
Uh-huh.
Your daughter, her name is?
Kelsey.
She's the ops manager at VCU in basketball.
Ops director,
and she helps schedule home and homes for VCU basketball.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's an amazing
Picks up
job.
the phone and calls coaches and says, you want to play?
Oh, she'll
as a young woman in a man's game, man's world, ego, testosterone, no fear. She's like, let's go.
Yeah. And
what are you, scared?
She'll call anybody. She'll call absolutely anybody. And
Izzo?
Yeah, she's met him through me. So
that's awesome, though. By the way,
yeah. So
you got to be really proud.
Yeah, it's great. But she'll call.
How many people hang up on her? Like VCU?
No.
VCU, you're too fucking good.
No, they don't do that because it's a fraternity. You have to be respectful.
I don't mean to hang up.
I know what you're saying.
I mean, a lot of schools. A lot of schools are like, yeah, no, you guys are too good. And there's nothing in it for us. We could lose.
They won 27 games last year, so people are selective. But it's a tough gig, and scheduling is one of the most important parts of that job.
It used to be, I was told by coaches, 60 to 70% of your chance to win. You had to schedule just the right amount of hard at just the right time to get your team ready for conference play, but still end up at the magic 20. 20 used to be the magic number to get into the tournament back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it used to be. It's not that anymore.
Because they play 58 games.
When I was coaching, my athletic director called me in one day and he said, he was talking about the budget, and I'm thinking, there's a message here. He's trying to send me a message. So I said, Joe, what exactly?
You ever heard a budget meeting be good? Buckhantz, where they say, we got more budget than we thought.
Anytime they call you in, it's not good.
He says, I need you to play more guarantee games. And I said, really? And I said, is there a number that you're looking for me to raise? And he said, yeah. He gave me a number. It was like $80,000.
Now, this is when you were at American.
Yeah.
Circa what year?
I was there 90 to 97.
Okay, so early 90s at American, guaranteed games, meaning games you're going to lose against much better opponents.
It's not just much better opponents. You're playing against 8 guys, 3 refs, who you'll never see again.
One of those games wasn't the Jason Shrinsky game, was it?
No.
Who's Jason Shrinsky?
Buck was doing a game.
Inside jokes.
No. This is actually classic. So, AU one year we did have some extra discretionary money, so we decided we were going to put 3 or 4 or 5 games broadcast and put it on with the old home team sports, right? That became
CSN.
So at any rate, we hired Buck.
Sure.
And TV mogul Steve Buckhantz from right down the street.
Right.
He was working at Channel 5 at the time. And we also hired his color man, Doc Walker.
Get out of here.
Rick Doc Walker. And Doc,
former tight end for the Redskins
in
1982.
And his color commentary was classic.
Classic
Doc. The man's he's a troglodyte.
He's a tank. He's walking the dog right there. Like, all right.
So Buck's going to pick up the story, but so at halftime you got some fill time there, right? You got to figure out how to fill those 4 or 5 minutes, and I've got some stories that happened to me when I was doing TV I did an Ivy League package for 3 or 4 years. Some crazy stuff happened there. But Buck, finish the story.
Have you not heard this story, Zabe? Seriously?
I'm falling asleep already.
It's a classic.
I want the payoff to who the fuck is Steve Shrinsky?
Okay. Jason
Shrinsky.
All right, so it's halftime, and now we've got to do halftime stuff. And Doc gets up, and he walks away, and he's glad-handing everybody and shaking hands.
That's what
and all
Doc
of that.
does.
Okay, and I am scheduled at halftime to interview the president of the American University, Dr. Benjamin Ladner. Okay. So now Doc's gone, and my stage manager, who helps out, he wandered away. So it's just me there with my headsets on. And the fellow walks down and got a big smile on his face, and I kind of, he just, we shake hands. He sits down. We put the headsets on him. We come out of commercial.
You know his name?
No. We come out of commercial, and I say, AU leads GW, 53 to 43, and it's time now for our halftime activities. And with me is the president of the American University, Dr. Benjamin Ladner. Now, we're on a 2-shot.
So you didn't know his name?
I thought it was the president of the American University, Dr. Benjamin Ladner, who I was supposed to interview.
Okay.
That's who's sitting next to me.
Sure.
And it was not.
Was not.
It was
Jason Shrinsky.
Jason Shrinsky.
Who the fuck is Jason Shrinsky?
Well, that's what I wanted to know. So
turns out it was.
So I say, here's Dr. Benjamin Ladner, and this fellow looks at me, and he looks at me, and he looks at me, and he goes,
like, no, not me.
Like that. And I said, I've elevated you to doctoral status. I still didn't know it wasn't Dr. Ladner.
And he's like, no, and still not.
He looks at me and he says, which translated to, I'm not that guy, Buck. Just like that.
You're not that guy.
And now I'm sitting there, okay, you can imagine how this felt. I'm sitting there on a 2-shot, me and him, and it's not Benjamin Ladner. And I can't bring myself to look at him on camera and say, Who are you?
Who the fuck?
I can't do it. I cannot do it. Thank God, finally, our producer, Billy Stone, takes a wide shot of the arena because he could feel my pain. And then I take off my headsets, and he takes off his, and I say, who are you? And he says, I'm Jason Shrinsky. I said, that's all I needed to know. Put the headsets back on. I said, Jason Shrinsky joins us now at halftime. I have no idea who he's doing. I said, Jason, what do you think about the American University and this team and this? And here's how much he knows. He says, well, he says, I think that Steve Yockey's doing a terrific job.
Steve Knocke.
Steve Yockey.
Steve Yockey.
Yeah.
Instead of Chris
right.
Knocke.
I think that Steve Yockey's doing a terrific job.
Okay, so we're 7 minutes into this story that will not end, that I guarantee none of my listeners give a shit about.
Oh, it's hysterical. You imagine?
Who the fuck is this guy?
He was an agent who knew me sort of and came down to say hello. Just wandered down. Of course, there was nobody there to stop him.
He walked so confidently onto the set.
There was no stage manager there to say, no, I can't, you can't, we got to have.
And he caught you at just the perfect time where you were on the air.
Well, I was coming out of a commercial.
So you didn't have a second to go, hi, who are you? Are you Dr. Ladd?
I thought he was Dr. Ladd. So then Dr. Ladner does show up. He does show up afterwards. We get this guy off the air. And then Ladner shows up, and I said, listen, there was an imposter in this seat here a minute ago. And he said, yeah. He said, trust me, I'm Dr. Ladner. And that was a legendary.
In today's day and age, that moment would have been roasted on social media.
Oh, are you kidding me?
It would have been an all-timer.
Are you kidding me?
Almost as good as this exchange on NBA TV. Don't know if you saw about this.
Didn't see this.
Sam Mitchell, former NBA coach, getting in with his co-host about salary. Buck, have you seen this?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, you're going to like it.
You know, I think, like, maybe you should do this pro bono, my friend.
You know, last time I looked at my check, it's pretty close. So, hey, I'm taking donations. Why don't you come up off some of that money you got, since you're over there bragging about it?
I'm not bragging about it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you rent your beach house out down in Florida during the hurricane? Or do I need to go on? How about your townhouse over in Buckhead?
Hey, what's going on here, Sam?
You want to call me out? I mean, come on.
I think
you screaming broke and hungry. Let's just see it.
I love this.
I know what you have and where you live, young fella, so you need to stop.
I think we have snitches on the show today.
No, we don't have snitches. We have
Sam
truth tellers.
Mitchell.
We have truth tellers, so you're the one who crying poor and destitute up here. When do I need to keep going on further, more and more? Or do you want me to stop right now?
Go into this game between the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors.
You're going to stop messing with me on national TV. I done told you about that.
That guy on the left used to be
here. Do I need to give out
here.
the address? Because you're not at home right now.
The fellow on the left used to be in D.C. with us. He was in Channel 5 for a while.
Yes. So anyway, they followed this up, and it was quite awkward, you could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell. They ventured into some shit that was not scripted.
Yeah, of course.
But they followed up the next day by having the host, what's his name again? Just like Jason Shrinsky, you don't know who it is. He knocked on Sam Mitchell's door to do a skit for social media to try to play it off like, hey, we do this all the time. We're always busting each other's balls.
Well, it was actually pretty funny for the first
couple
couple
minutes.
minutes.
Did not seem legit to you?
Oh, absolutely.
That there was some real heat? Like,
no doubt about it.
Hey, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised the director hung with it.
As long as they did.
As long as they did.
And I can tell you that the host is not making any real money doing that, any great money.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean, what's great money?
Well,
salary?
Yeah. They're
$100,000?
No, they're not. Well, yeah, he might be making that, but they're not
That's
making,
good money for a lot of people.
They're not be making Scott Van Pelt money and stuff like that. You know,
why would anyone think they would?
Or even some of the guys that have been there a long time. You know, it's a Turner production, and they're paying him, but they're not paying any great money.
Like Pat McAfee money. That's real money.
That's real money.
Big money right there.
Yeah, they're not making that kind of stuff.
I got a TV question for you guys. Do you think Nick Saban hates McAfee? My boy Solly insists that he thinks that when the lights go off, Nick Saban's like, this fucking guy.
I absolutely think he hates him. You see the pictures and the video of when McAfee's on, and
right.
Yeah, it's pretty telling.
Really?
I mean, I think McAfee is everything that Saban isn't. You know, I mean, McAfee is
undisciplined.
Yeah, just
over
the top. Yeah,
not
look at me.
team-oriented.
He takes off the shirt. He's got the black, wife beater on, and that's got to drive him freaking nuts.
You don't think Saban has embraced the notion that, hey, this is a TV show, and that McAfee has been undeniably great for College Game Day?
Maybe he recognizes that, but again, they're opposite human beings, personalities. Okay. That's not what Saban has been about for his whole career. That's not what he's like. And McAfee is like a Stephen A. Smith type of guy.
Sure. He's the white Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, that's what they do. And those are two different people. Yeah.
By the way, it is sad what ESPN is becoming. They just hired Cam Newton. So they hired Cam Newton to be on First Take. Meanwhile, they're shedding normal, credible, skilled broadcasters left and right, and it's just becoming a shout fest. Like, what is the network now, honestly? It's the daytime talk shows and then Van Pelt Center. Van Pelt Center and College Game Day, the two best things they do, my opinion.
Aside from televising the games. I mean, that's what they do. That's the best thing they do. The other stuff is stuff they have to do because they have to have content, like any network or station.
Fill up like 6 channels with 24 hours a day.
Right. Cornhole.
Yeah.
Which I don't even like to say in public because that meant something totally different when we were growing up than what these kids are doing now, and I don't even like to say it around them.
Right. Have you seen the Aaron Hernandez Netflix special?
I've seen parts of it. It's riveting. It's
Buck?
No, I haven't seen it. Is it great?
Oh, my God.
Is it great?
It's some of the worst casting you've ever seen of guys meant to look like Belichick, Hernandez, Gronk, etc. And I was going to ask you guys the question, what's the worst cast sports movie that missed the mark on the principles that were supposed to be the subjects of the movie?
Good question. I have to think about it. I can think of the great ones.
Brian Dennehy as Bob Knight would be one of them. Remember that when ESPN started down the movie road of going, let's do expensive Hollywood-type movies instead of documentaries.
Yeah, but
it's hard to do.
That is long-standing. The Pride of the Yankees with who was the actor? The old actor.
Was it
the guy who played Lou Gehrig? Was he was a right-handed guy who never played sports
legendary
in his
actor.
life. Yeah, and so that happens. That's happened throughout history.
Gary Cooper.
Gary Cooper. Yeah, of course.
The strong, silent type, like Gary Cooper, as Tony Soprano once said.
What about Gene Hackman as in The Replacements? Was that good? Was he good? I can't.
I'm talking about you have to nail a specific athlete or coach.
Because I think one of the best ones was, and it's my favorite sports movie, is Brian's Song. Mm-hmm. I think Billy Dee Williams and James Caan were spectacular.
Did they hit the mark in
terms
of
hit it perfectly.
Representing the athletes?
I thought they did. Absolutely.
Brian Piccolo and
Gail Sayers.
Gail Sayers.
Absolutely. They were right on it.
Yep. Now that movie, that was 1970.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, Jesus,
and I think I told you the story. I met James Caan once when he was down here filming the movie Eraser. And I got to meet him and talk to him. And I said, listen, I got to tell you something. I cry every time I see Brian's Song. He said, so do I. I don't get any residuals. I thought it was pretty good comeback.
There's Brian Dennehy as Bobby Knight. Any good?
I don't remember it. I don't remember much about that. And I was never really a Knight fan, so I might not have watched it.
Let me find the fake Gronk for you guys. And the fake Belichick is even better. Because it's so bad.
But we know these guys so well.
I know.
They're not going to... You can't just go get Joe Blow off the street. And it's hard to duplicate that.
I just don't know why they even try, given that it's so hard. Here's the guy that plays Belichick in the Netflix thing.
Looks a little like him. A younger Belichick.
And there's a real Belichick for you right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The last of our visit here today, and thank you to the Palm for having us deliciously.
Absolutely.
Any gripes you'd like to get off your chest? I know, Buck, you always have a few things that you gotta just vent on. So I'm here to let you vent on those things.
It's always has to do with the inconsistencies and the contradictions in rules in certain sports, whether it's baseball or football.
What rules driving you crazy these days?
Well, for basketball, there's always some rules that drive me crazy, and it's just the inconsistencies within the officials making the calls. And trust me, the officials are friends of mine, and Scott Foster's a good friend, and I think they're all great. But
you call him a friend,
a very good friend.
Does he call you a friend?
Absolutely. We played golf.
What
this
was
summer.
the last favor you did for him?
I didn't do a favor.
The last green fee you paid for him.
I don't.
The last bottle of bourbon you bought.
He
for
paid
him.
for me in Ocean City at Lighthouse Sound.
Wow, nice.
But at any rate, just the inconsistencies of the traveling. They call some stuff and they don't call some stuff. What bothers me about football, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the new kickoff rule. Guys are 5 yards apart from each other. I understand why they do it.
The new kickoff sucks.
Yeah, I don't like it. But they do everything they can do now to try to protect these players. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. If you think back to guys like Dick Butkus and Ray Nitschke, they're trying to take your head off your body.
Sure.
And that wouldn't be allowed today.
But the game is played at a speed and a size and a ferocity.
Right.
That's beyond comprehension.
Right, but
I'm not saying it wasn't violent or injurious back in the day.
Oh, it was. Absolutely.
They're
But
bigger, stronger, and faster.
Right. The Aiden Hutchinson injury is another classic example.
Right.
Look how fast and how hard these guys are going on every
Right, so
snap.
they're doing everything they can to protect him, and I don't have a problem with that. I get it. It's changed the game.
But there's not enough rules. Look at how Hutchins got hurt. You can't write enough rules to protect against that.
You can't keep writing these rules, and they continue to try to do so. But what bothers me, like the one rule about making a catch and making a football move and all of that, my question always was, if the ground can't cause a fumble on a running play,
why can it cause
an incompletion on a pass play?
Right.
Why is that? If a guy makes
It's
a
a
catch in midair,
magic rule, Buckhantz.
it's bullshit. The other one is this kills me. If you're running, say you're running parallel to the goal line as a running back, and you're like 2 yards out of the end zone,
right,
and you take the ball and you just stick it like that, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right.
You should have to cross the goal line with your feet, not just the football, and be in the end zone for a touchdown. To take a football and do that.
What about goal line plays?
I love that. I love that play.
That's a terrible rule, Buck. You like his rule idea?
No, I like the fact
that he just put it in the end zone.
Yeah, because the level of athleticism. Some of these guys, dive and just get the ball inside the pylon.
Right.
That's a remarkable.
Did you see Penei Sewell almost score a touchdown when they ran a hook and ladder to him, and he dove and his elbow came down just before the goal line? Detroit was unloading the bag against Dallas. Unbelievably.
I loved it. Yeah.
Right.
And you know what they did? They were up 40 points, and Campbell is still running like tackle-eligible players.
Yeah, had him as a wide receiver.
Skipper, the guy who got called, was out there as a wideout.
That was hysterical.
And they should have thrown it to him.
I love that.
No matter what.
That was great.
Yeah. Here's another rule that bothers me. So if you are backed up against your own goal line, penalties are discounted by 50%, half the distance to the goal.
Right.
How come it's a full cost if you're going into the end zone? So if you have first and goal at the 2 and commit a unsportsmanlike conduct, you're now at the 17-yard line.
Right.
They push you back the full 15.
Right.
But you don't get the benefit going the other way.
Right.
It should be, if you commit a penalty that would be otherwise half the distance, they add on the yards to go on the other side. So it's a true full weight penalty.
Right, because half the distance could be 6
nothing.
inches. Here's another one that really bothers me. If you're not allowed to use hands to the face, either as an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, why can a running back who's
stiff
running
arm
the
a
ball,
guy right to his
face?
I know.
That should not be allowed.
I've always felt that was terribly unfair.
Insane.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Knocke, any grapes?
Nah, I'm the happiest
Life
guy
is
in
good.
America.
Happiest guy in
Also,
America.
I love the fact that you guys now are dogging officials, at least peripherally, just like I have been doing for the last 50 years.
Right.
You have seen the light.
No,
Welcome to the club, boys.
And I love those guys. They do a great job. I
love them.
I
On
like
the golf course
money
when they're
from me.
paying for my greens fees.
As I used to
Great
say on the
friends.
air all the time, we don't criticize, we scrutinize.
All right. Can you scrutinize the meal today?
Fabulous as
Delicious,
always.
right.
Listen, the Palm has been good to me, and my mom, who lived around the corner from here, over at the Rotunda, used to come here 4 times a week. She didn't eat anything because she was tiny, but she loved coming here, and we would come here all the time.
Usually, I ask for the table underneath his picture when I come in here. I know
Which one?
There's multiple caricatures of you here.
There's 2 of them.
God, what a diva! Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. 2 different colors of hair too.
All right, hey,
but both TV hair.
Knocke,
Exactly.
let's. When does Maryland play Wisconsin at College Park?
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay,
so
but when that happens, let's move heaven and earth to get me there with my morning radio. Don't look at me.
We have talked about this for
this year. It's got to happen so that my morning show host Brian Butch and I can be with you and Johnny for a little get together courtside prior to the game.
The only time you've really come over was
coming.
when I hooked you up and introduced you to Bob
Novak, the legend, the Dark Knight,
the Prince of Darkness.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, the late great Bob Novak.
Yes,
nice
exactly.
guy. Yeah,
And congratulations to Knocke. We didn't mention this. Who went into the Washington D.C. Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Did you get a coat for that? Do you get a
gold
parking
blazer.
spot?
No, but he got to. He went up and addressed the crowd, and it was a big crowd. And I mean, a lot of Adrian Dantley was there. A lot of people are there. It's a great event, and he was really funny. He was excellent. His speech had people laughing.
Nice.
It was good.
It was a good time, but it was and it's nice because my kids, my kids showed up, and there was an empty table in the corner. Those were the officials that I invited.
So you made
to come celebrate.
That's nice.
They didn't make it.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't use that zinger?
No.
You
know
shut
what?
up! It would have been
So,
perfect.
boy-
Shout out to the referees over there in the corner at the empty table.
So-
I didn't invite them.
Right when I got done, our guy Andy Poland came up to me and he said, "I love the speech. I couldn't believe there wasn't a dig at an official anywhere." So I told him what I was going to say, and it was that line. And he said, "Oh my God, you should have said that. You should have used it." I didn't do it because they tell you got like 5 to 6 minutes or
Right.
something like
Keep
that.
her moving, yeah.
And I felt like I was probably at 7 or 8, and then just it's time to go.
But he kept
So-
it moving. It was good. He was
Yeah,
good.
I want to welcome Fred Barakat, the longtime officials director for the ACC. He couldn't be here tonight because somehow his car had all 4 tires slashed by a guy who looked curiously like me, but I swear it wasn't.
And
so,
the irreducible-
Fred, good to see you, my friend.
The irreducible Lenny Wirtz, as I used to call him.
Irreducible?
Because you can't get any shorter.
He was like 4'5".
All right, we'll make it a day. Boys, thanks for coming today.
Thanks, man.
So what happens now? Is the food free or do we pay someone?
Of course not. They send you a bill.
Football is back, and so is winning season at MyBookie. NFL college football and a brand new cash-out system give you options on how to bet and to win all season long. First 2 legs of your parlay hit? Great. Get out while the getting is good. Cash out and use the funds on another bet, or let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Use early cash outs as a tool to stay in control of the action at MyBookie. To get started, go to mybookie.ag now and register for an account for free. When you're ready, make your first deposit. Just use promo code ZABE, Charlie, Zulu, Alpha, Bravo, Echo, and grab a welcome bonus on the house. That's promo code ZABE to claim your deposit bonus. And for a limited time, a free chip to use in the MyBookie casino. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.